Welcome back to the channel, everybody. God bless you. I hope you had a very productive week. I made a decision. I think what I'm going to do on LinkedIn, if you care about this kind of thing, is I'm gonna have a little fun with LinkedIn. You ever see those memes that people put on LinkedIn, like the social media influencers? They'll put a meme of themselves, looking like either like this, or they'll be pointing up here, and there's words up here, that kind of thing. And then they'll say like some kind of business, truism, like it costs 10 times more to get a new client than to keep your client, something like that. Like that, everybody already knows it, but they put it out there like as if there's some kind of a thought leader, that kind of thing. Well, I'm thinking about doing that, except I'm going to have a little fun with it, like put like stupid stuff. Like I'm going to have myself up there like pointing, like that. And it's going to say up here, are you working hard or hardly working? something like that. That's gonna be a good one. I think that'll be good. Sometimes you gotta have a little fun with business stuff. You know what I mean? Business is not all business, In any case, I saw this thread by Josh Daws, and I remember Josh. I gotta be honest, like Josh Daws, when I first encountered him, this was back when I was on Twitter the first time. He was the kind of guy that was like, he was very concerned with guys like me. You know what I mean? Like he agreed with what I had to say a lot of the time, but he's just a little concerned about how I was saying it, that kind of thing. And I don't hold it against people. Like when guys tell me that they're a little concerned with my tone, or how I'm saying it, or that I'm joking or things like that, or I'm name calling, I don't hold it against you. I mean, look, yeah, I get it. You should be concerned with me. That's right. I am concerning. That being said, Josh has really been radicalized over the years. I heard this on Gospel Coalition. Gospel Coalition officially has said Josh Daws has become radicalized, and it's making them very sad and worried and concerned and all that kind of thing. So now Josh is the guy that everyone's concerned about. It's not just me. Now Josh is the concerned bros target as well. Anyway, he's been spitting so much truth lately. I gotta be honest, hats off to you, Josh. You've been saying some good things. You're still a peacemaker, which is amazing. You're still a peacemaker. You're still very ironic, but you're kind of a fighter now too, which I gotta be honest with you. You love to see it. I love to see it. Anyway, he puts out this great thread, and I saw it because William Wolf said that it was about Neil Shenvi, and I was like, oh man, Josh named Neil. Wow. Well, he doesn't actually name Neil, but this thread is definitely a good thread to apply to Neil Shenvi, because this is like Neil Shenvi's prime directive, right? This is what Neil is all about. This is what gets him going in the morning. He loves this kind of thing. This is what he's looking for, opportunities to do exactly what Josh is describing here. And there are a bunch of guys like this. I saw some people talking about this thread, and they mentioned Owen Strawn. He's the kind of guy who does this kind of thing as well. Quite frankly, all the G3 guys did this in the recent dust-up. Virgil did this for sure. I don't think that the G3 guys are like this in general, but they definitely were like this a couple months ago. No question about it. Guys like Samuel Say, he's also like this. This is what he does. This is his prime directive. You know how like in Star Trek, Starfleet has a prime directive that everything else they do is all about this one prime directive? Well, this is the prime directive for a lot of conservative Christians. And it's very interesting. So I wanted to read this thread to you and commend it to you, recommend it to you rather. And I want you to think about this, because this is something that you need to watch out for, because I personally believe that all of us conservative Christians have been like programmed to do this. Like this is what we've been told and taught, and maybe not in explicit terms, but we've just seen so many people doing this. So we think this is the right thing to do. And I'm going to urge you to resist the urge to do this. This is unnecessary, and it actually hurts our cause. That's my opinion. So here's what Josh Daws has to say. He says, "You have never seen anyone on the left disavow a single lib featured on Libs of TikTok. They know that their fringe serves the very valuable purpose of making well-articulated leftist ideology seem more reasonable by comparison. They ignore the crazies and keep pushing left. Conservatives, on the other hand, drop everything to ferret out and expunge any fringe to the right, effectively drawing in the borders of acceptable conservative discourse and moving the Overton window leftward. We have to ignore the fringe to our right, keep pushing our agenda, and let their extremism work to our advantage. Don't leap to address every nut job and racist on the left, or other conservatives drudge up. Stay focused on defeating the left and regaining the ground we've lost. I got to be honest with you. I like this thread very much. I think he's exactly right. You don't see, the leadership of the left, criticizing the psychopaths that are on libs of TikTok. Like, you don't see like reasonable racial reconciliation people criticizing like that black lady who's like, oh, sister, yeah, if you white, man, you ain't have no right to communicate with me. You ain't have no right to criticize me. You need to ask permission. Girl, you need to ask permission. And you gotta say, Lord, can I have permission? Like, there's a psychopathic, demonic possessed black lady who says this kind of thing. She's crazy, right? Everybody knows she's crazy. But you don't see reasonable race hustlers criticizing her because they understand that she's out there making them look good. You know what I mean? Like, that wacko makes other wackos like Micah Edmondson look smart and reasonable by comparison. Micah Edmondson is unreasonable. In fact, he's almost as unreasonable as that psychopathic lady on Libs of TikTok. But when the Libs of TikTok lady's out there saying insane things, it makes Micah look a lot more reasonable by comparison. And so they realize that that's valuable. They have no problem with that. So anyway, I agree with what Josh has to say here. And I think that when you look at like all of the times that people like, it almost is like a switch flips inside them. And they start sounding like a liberal. Oh, you're racist. When people start calling everybody racist, like this happened in the Christian nationalism dust up, where all of a sudden, like if you aren't denouncing this crazy racist, now all of a sudden maybe you're kind of racist. Or when people say you need to start thinking, AD, about why all these racists support you. Why do they listen to your channel? And it's like, like that kind of stuff. Like, they're trying to do this witch hunt to try to smoke out the racist. And it's like, what's the value in that? What do they think they get out of that, right? Why are they doing that? And it's a really kind of, it's a brain dead thing to do, right? What do they think they get out of it? I think they think that the liberals who they really want to impress, they're really trying to win these liberals, right? That's what they think. And they think that the strategy to do it is to give some ground to the liberals and to say, see, I'll grant that there are definitely racists over here. There's racists and I oppose them. I'm not like one of those racists. And like that's their strategy. It's like they're going to grant some of the ground and they think, see, they're going to think I'm reasonable. So they're going to know that not all conservatives are racist because I'm here. I mean, I'm Neil Shenvi. I'm not racist. And so they're going to talk to me and then I'm going to be able to win them because I admit, that, yeah, they're right about things. Maybe not to the degree that they think they're right, but they're right for the most part. So they're kind of, they're appealing to the, almost like they're appealing to the morality of the left and saying, yeah, you're kind of right. And so, but you should join me because, you're kind of wrong too. And I got to be honest with you, that's just so naive. I see. There's a similar kind of situation happening. I remember this back when I used to talk to a lot of atheists, and this was both online and in person. In both situations, I'd talk to atheists, and usually, you would talk to atheists, and there'd be a group. Like if you're street preaching, there's like a group of you, and there, everyone kind of has their own style of apologetics and stuff like that. And there was always this one style that I never quite understood, where like you almost like, when you have the chance to talk about science, like you get so excited and you jump on it. You're like, oh yeah, let's talk about science, because you think that you're going to win the atheist whose heart is set against the Lord, who's set against the Lord's anointed, like hates Christ, hates everything to do with Christ, hates Christ's law, wants to sin, loves their sin, and all that. Like, you think somehow that if you appeal to something they like, which is science, at least they claim to like science, that somehow they're going to stop hating Christ. Right, and so when they want to talk about science, you get all excited. Like, yeah, let's talk about science, and yeah, you're right. Some of those Christians reject science, and I'm not like one of those Christians. And it's like, it's the same kind of thing, right? Where you're trying to grant a part of their narrative where they're like, yeah, Christians, they're anti-science and stupid. And you're like, yes, I know, they're totally like that. And you think that you're going to be like, since you're not one of those Christians, they're going to take you seriously and somehow convert to Jesus Christ. That's what you think. It's a very strange thing. I remember one time witnessing someone online. This one was online, where something about homosexuality or something, and the Christian apologized on behalf of all Christians, and it was a woman, and she was like, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry that Christians have mistreated you so. And if you look back at the thread, it was like the mistreatment was saying that homosexuality was a sin and, the kingdom of God's not for homosexuality. It's like, I'm sorry. You're right. They're so evil. It's like, liberals don't care about that. They don't care if you agree with them in part, right? They don't care. They're not thinking rationally. They don't have any morality, like they don't care about you, hunting out racists or things like that. It doesn't serve to do anything good. Like, you're not going to win woke people by, being a little woke yourself. It doesn't work that way. It just simply doesn't work that way. You can't try to be anti-racist in a good way and expect that anyone's gonna, convert to Jesus Christ over that. It just doesn't matter. They don't care about that kind of stuff. And so I agree with Josh. I think this is a smart move, as far as how to deal with the fringe elements on the right, how to deal with them. Just ignore them. You know what I mean? Just ignore them. And I got to be honest with you. There's another kind of more practical reason to ignore them as well. And I think this has to do. You got to be honest with yourself, right? You got to be honest with yourself. How much damage has been done to the way you see things by the prevailing ideology of our time. Like, we were taught, we were trained to spot racism everywhere, to spot it everywhere. And we're so as a result, we're all just very bad at identifying what racism is, right? And all of a sudden we see, something like in the movie The Bronx Tale. I did a video about this on Twitter, which, by the way, follow me on Twitter. I've been doing a lot of video content on Twitter, 2-minute videos, very brief kind of things. I've been doing a lot more of that lately. But there's a scene in The Bronx Tale where C's father, they're Italians, he asks his father, about, what would it be? What would he think if his friend was dating a black girl? You know what I mean? And his father basically says, I'm not prejudiced or anything, but I think, we should marry our own kind. And basically saying he wants his son to marry an Italian girl. Like, that's what he desires, right? And he's not really pushy about it. He's not really saying, oh, they're evil, they're savages. He doesn't say anything like that. He just says, look, I want an Italian baby. I want you to find a nice girl named Maria and you marry her, right? That kind of thing. We're programmed to think that that's the worst possible thing. And in that movie, it's very subversive, because what ends up happening in that movie is his father's a very good father. And he has kind of another father figure, which is the mob boss, who's an evil man. I mean, this guy's a mass murderer. And the mass murderer says, oh, no, you could marry a black girl. And so the movie's trying to get you to say, oh, you see, even the good father, good Catholic father, he's actually truly evil on the inside. He's dark on the inside. And then this mass murdering mob boss who's dark on the outside is actually a good soul on the inside. It's a very subversive movie. It's a good movie. I like A Bronx Tale, but it's very subversive. Anyway, what his father said wasn't that bad. I mean, even if you don't agree with him, like, it's really not the end of the world, right? But the movie's trying to make you seem like, see, you know, people are kind of a mixed bag, you know, that kind of thing. And so we're trained to spot, like, the worst possible racism everywhere. So we're not very good at it. That's the point. You're not very good at it. And so chances are, if you're not, you know, sort of like on the based right kind of thing, if you're not in that group right now, chances are, and even if you are in that group to some degree, chances are the fringe right that you're talking about, some of those guys are probably not as fringe as you think they are. Some of those guys are actually probably not racist like you're hearing from like G3 or whatever. Like it's just, you gotta be honest with yourself. You're just not good. Very few of us are good at spotting the actual racist. And so it is totally acceptable when you see some wacko on Twitter saying something that you think is racist. It's totally acceptable to just keep your mouth shut about it. Totally fine. It doesn't mean you're a racist. Doesn't mean you're condoning it. That's the thing. They try to manipulate you into thinking you must be condoning. Silence is violence. Silence is violence. There's a lot of guys on the right that have adopted that mentality. They'll never say silence is violence, but they've adopted that mentality. I pointed out Virgil Walker saying that kind of thing the other day, and you know, people got very offended. He's not saying silence is violence. I mean, yeah, he is, kind of. Silence is not violence. Silence is not violence. You see some wacko on Twitter say something, you know, outlandish, outrageous, you can just ignore it if you want to. If you want to say something, I guess go ahead and say it. I don't think that it's a good idea. I think Josh gives you a real good reason why that's not a good idea. But, hey, there you go. There you go. I hope you found this video helpful, interesting. One more thing before we end. I'm considering doing one more good faith debate review. I'm thinking about doing the racial reconciliation one. Do you think that I should do it? If you want me to do the racial reconciliation good faith debate, let me know in the comments. Let me know. If you really, really don't want me to do it, let me know that as well. If you don't care, you know, let me know that as well. We'll see what we do. We'll see what we do. But anyway, I hope you have a great weekend. God bless you. Hope you found this video helpful. God bless.